Pelatinos, hello. How is everyone? Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining us once again for our latest episode of Pelatinos Platican. Today, super excited because we have a very special guest. But it's been a little while since we've gotten on here and had a chance to converse. So I first want to make sure that my name is Victor Cornejo, and then with us, of course, are Analisa Wimbush, who you will know her name for basically doing everything on the page for us. She rocks. She that this doesn't work without her. And then also I want to introduce Melanie Aranda Tawil. Very very special for me that she is on here because years ago I remember once we'd gotten to a pretty big number. In fact, did you know that 50,000 people actually use the Pelatinos hashtag on the platform? That's crazy, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's nuts. But years ago, once we got a big following, I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had a book club? Like I'd always wanted to join a book club, and Melanie just raised her hand, and Annalisa and Melanie are day one OGs. And I don't know how Melanie runs the book club because she's also a law student. So, like, aren't you reading enough? But the reason why we're here today is to honestly, like, celebrate something amazing. Someone who is part of our community, someone many of you actually know quite well because you have been following her for a while. You know the content, the amazing content that she puts out there, and it does it in such a funny and amazing way. But I want to introduce you to Dalina Soto. She is better known as, well, I just say that. Maybe you're not better known, but at your Latina nutritionist, both on TikTok and Instagram. And well, she is a first generation Dominicana, super cool. And she graduated from Penn State with a degree in nutritional sciences and then followed up with a master's degree in nutrition education. And good Lord, does our community need nutrition education? So we're so glad to have you to talk about, well, your whole trajectory, really. We've got time. I want to learn more. And about this, she's an author, a published author. So when I'm talking about, we need to celebrate, yeah, we need to celebrate when people in our community do such an amazing thing. Like publishing a book is no joke.
no.
It is forever, and I can't wait to hear about the journey. But Dalina, felicidades. Like
Gracias.
awesome. Thank you for doing what you do and for doing something for our community that is so needed. So just to kick us off, Dalina, I'd like to just ask you, well, yeah, let's start a little bit with the book. When did you say, okay, I have to get this book going?
Well, I didn't. Somebody reached out to me. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to write a book. But yeah, no, an agent reached out to me probably in, I think it was the end of 2020. And I wrote a proposal, but that didn't work out. And it kind of just like sat on my desktop for 2 years. Actually, almost 3 years, if I think about it. And then my friend published a book, or she was like in the process of publishing a book, and she's like, "Didn't you have a proposal?" And I was like, "Yeah, but like, I don't have an agent. I don't want to look for an agent. I have too much to do right now. Like, I don't want to do it." She's like, "Well, my agent's great. Like, you should reach out to them." So she put us in contact, and I sent them literally what I had on my desktop for 3 years. I didn't touch it. I literally was like, "Here you go. This is my proposal." Um, and she was like, "I love it." And she signed me on immediately. And then she had like 5 publishers lined up within 2 weeks. And I met with 2 publishers, Penguin Random House being the second one that I met with. But Penguin Random House was like different because like they came ready, right? They came in with like a group full of Latinas. It was like a Latina editor, Latina marketing, like everyone was Latina. And they read the proposal and they were like, we want this book. Like we don't want you going with anybody else. And they just made me feel like wow, they really want to publish this book. Like they really understand what I'm talking about. So many of them understood the messaging. And I didn't take any other, um, you know, meetings after that. I was like, I don't even care what other people might offer me, because the money's not important if I don't have a team that's going to understand the book, and isn't going to understand like how I want to write it. Like the previous meetings I have had, with people, they always want to change you. They always want to market it to everyone. And I'm like, I don't want to market my book to everybody. Like, I want my book to be for my community. Like, I don't want you to change my Spanish words. I don't want you to like try to like change my writing to like fit, the general media. They already have enough books. Like, I want a book for us.
Right.
And they were like very much on board. So yeah, that happened in 2023. So it's been a while.
2020. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And it's such, I love the way that you said that there was a team of people from your community helping you launch this, because I couldn't understand how you could launch this, because it's so absolutely unique, so needed in our community. I don't see how you could do it without,
Yeah.
that sort of support that would sort of get it. So that being said, Melanie, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, hey Dalina. So I
Hi.
am a long time follower. Found you, I guess, during the like right when COVID hit, and so this is amazing because I have long said, and this is actually why we started the Latinos Book Club, was we were looking for representation on, that's just it. Like I was struggling to find, you have your big names that are out there, like Isabel Allende, and I just was having so much, like, just I wanted it to be authentic and purposeful. So that's why I found you. And I'm so excited because you get to now bring the Chula method to our amazing community and the world with your book. So can you explain to us and to our followers what is the Chula method?
Yeah. So it's crazy again, because like things just happen and you have no idea how they happen. But I had a client who was like in marketing, and she was just very much like, you need to figure this out. Like, I love your page. Obviously, I'm working with you, but like, you need to be better at marketing. And I'm like, girl, I don't have a marketing degree. Like, what I'm doing. And she's like, well, all the big pages, like if you look at the therapists, or like even if you look at other dietitians, they have something, right? Like something that they talk about all the time, like a 5 step, or like a, something that's really easy for people, like an acronym. And I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. She's like, let's do it together. Like we could do it. I'm like, this is your session, but whatever. She helped me out. And we were just talking, and, I'm like, all right, these are the things that we're learning. And I started writing them out, and they did not spell chula at the beginning. Like it wasn't like I was like intentional about it. But as we were like putting the things together, I was like, wait, I think I can, finagle this a little bit, and make it spell chula. And she was like, I like it. And I'm like, all right, me too. And I just took it and ran with it. Because it's what I talk about every day, but it was so much easier to just put it into like an acronym, and just like put in
Hmm.
something that was like very visual, to help me when I'm talking, but also like to help people when they're like trying to figure out these things.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Annalisa?
No, yeah, and throughout the book, and for me, I have the book right here. I'm not as avid of a reader as Melanie is, but girl, I will download an audiobook in a heartbeat.
Yes.
So the book is also available on
Yeah.
audiobook, and you're the one that's actually like talking me through it. So I feel like
Yeah.
I'm talking to someone.
I love
They're
it.
like my girlfriend. Hey, like we do all the time. So having the book is great because you get to see all of like the different, tables that you have, and but in the audiobook, you also allow us to like download. There's like PDF downloads
Mm-hmm.
that people could download. So um, you have a lot of wonderful stuff that is out there. You do talk of something that I had never heard about, intuitive eating.
Yeah.
Um, can you explain to us a little bit what that intuitive eating is? Because I think a lot of time we tend to go the opposite direction. Like, no, no, I
Mm-hmm.
can't eat that. No, like the arroz
Mm-hmm.
con habichuelas, like the things that you're
Yeah.
talking about in the book. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so intuitive eating is a framework that was created in the early 90s, by a dietitian, two dietitians, and it kind of like didn't have a lot of uptick until COVID happened.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's when it became very popular. Everybody was stuck at home. The body positivity movement took off. And intuitive eating kind of like went along with it, because intuitive eating is very much about, connecting with your body, being intuitive with like your hunger and your fullness, and really understanding your body's needs without this like idea of micromanaging. And so it became very, very popular. And I found it also at that time. And in my career as a dietitian, you don't get taught things like that. You get taught very much the Western way
Hmm.
of thinking, the Western way of viewing food. And so I always knew I had this like very cognitive like dissonance of like, why am I being taught these things? But like my family eats this way and like my community eats this way. And for me, I was always trying to bridge the gap. And I was always trying to figure out how to make food more positive, but I still had that education that was very rooted in those things. So it was really hard for me at the beginning as a new dietitian until I found intuitive eating, until I found health at every size. And I had to do that like on my own. I had to research and find these frameworks on my own, to then be able to like see nutrition as a whole, and stop seeing people as like these things that had to micromanage, right? Like
Right.
my job as a dietitian isn't to tell you or dictate, how to eat. My job is to educate you and allow you to make the choice that you feel is best for your body,
Yeah.
right? And I think that for many of us that become dietitians, like we're literally only taught one way. And now, of course, with intuitive eating and health at every size becoming more popular, more schools are teaching about it. More schools are teaching about social determinants of health, especially since so many of us that graduated a long time ago have been talking about it so much openly in social media and like in the media in general. I do see that some schools, have incorporated it into their curriculum. And that's how things change, right? When people speak up. But for the most part, intuitive eating, is very much that, like, how to connect with your body. And for me, as I was learning from it and, working with it, I realized, well, there's not a lot of culture in it. Like, it's great and all, but the way that I grew up, there's a lot of these things that don't resonate with me. And also, there's that social determinant of health part that our community deals with a lot, that is really hard to just tell
Hmm.
someone like, just eat, just don't worry about it, and it's also been co-opted, right? We know
Right.
that like with anything, people, it got really popular, so people started using it as diets. They started using it as a way to restrict again. And so like it's a lot. It's a great, I always say like it's a
I'm on a
great
video call.
framework.
I literally texted everyone. I'm on a video call, and of course,
Don't
I'm
come
entrar.
in. I mean, always. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you can't take anything as, dogma. Like you have to have that nuance. You have to have that critical thinking. And you get to pick and choose what works for you. So intuitive eating is one of those things that you can pick and choose whether or not works for you.
And I love that you do introduce that. Like you do talk a lot about the foods that we eat on the day to day. So it's not villainizing what you and I grew up eating. It's no, look at its nutritional value. And I think to me, that's why this book right here is priceless, because this is the first time that I'm like, oh my God, yes. You go through like the vitamins and the nutrition's like, eat your tortilla, eat your taco, and that's your corn, and that's your protein, and you have all these things that you add, and your taco is healthy. I mean, don't have 50 of them, obviously, but your taco in itself is a very healthy meal that you can have. And I think we just hear about, oh, you have to eat, I eat this and this,
Hmm.
the European, todo
Hmm.
eso, the way that the healthy stuff,
Yeah.
um, that we need to look at our stuff very differently here. So, thank you so much for that. For me, that was like mind blown. What is this? I could actually, like, if I want my panecito, I could have my panecito. Like,
Yeah.
it was outstanding.
Well,
So
thank you.
that for me, I'm like, yes, worth the price of the audiobook, times 10. So people, if you haven't done so already, if you haven't ordered the book, get the audiobook. Like it really does really change your perspective on food and our relationship with food, which I think is probably the most important thing at the end of the day.
And that's such a big part. Like, Dalina, quick question: as you were being educated as a nutritionist,
Hmm.
in what class did it come up that if you don't have an appetite, it's because you're enamorado, or because you're falling in love? Like in my parents' Peruvian and Chilean culture, if like you're just down, or you're just like seem a bit off. I don't know. He doesn't want to eat because he's enamorado.
I don't
He
know.
knows some girl. And I'm like, what? Like, come on, that's crazy. It's like, those messages that you just get, with love and from a good place, but
Yeah,
it's just that's the things that we hear.
that's funny. I don't think I've ever heard that before from my Dominican family.
Mexicans, we always eat, so we're
Yeah,
never
yeah,
confused.
Yes.
yeah,
Enamorado,
Happy,
no.
sad, whatever, or we don't
yeah.
eat, like whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Party, we
No,
eat.
absolutely.
We're
yeah,
sad, we
yeah,
eat.
we're not. Yeah,
Right?
I don't think I've ever heard that. I mean, I don't think that would have ever come up again. Like, with my education, again, to become a dietitian is really hard to even begin with, because there's not that many schools that teach
Hmm.
the didactic program, which is the program that you have to go into to get your bachelor's in nutritional science, right? So, like, anybody can call themselves a nutritionist, but not every nutritionist is a dietitian. So all dietitians are nutritionists,
Mhm.
basically, because we get our bachelor's in science of nutrition. But there's a lot of courses that you can take, and it's not a legalized term. So like anybody can go on the internet and call themselves a nutritionist, which is very confusing. But it's also even more confusing because a lot of our community view nutritionists as like the thing, like dietista or like registered dietitian is not a word that a lot of us know, which is why I chose that handle. I was like, well, I am a nutritionist, so I'm going to go with it. But
Mhm.
like, I also have like higher education, and everything in my bio and everywhere says I'm a registered dietitian. But um, it's really unfortunate because, again, yeah, we're being taught the science, and it really takes, like I say in the book, like it really takes someone to like really critically think about it, to say, okay, I know the science, like I know what a carb is, I know what a protein is, I know what fats are, I know the microvitamins, like I know the minerals, I know all of this. Now I need to apply it to the food that I grew up eating, and unfortunately here in the US we don't have the data for it, right? Like there is
Mhm.
not a lot of research. But we could look at research from other countries, right? Like you're not gonna go to Peru, you're not gonna go to Chile, and their nutritional guidelines are not gonna look like our nutritional guidelines. They're gonna look like the nutritional guidelines for the food of that country, for the foods that are grown there, for the foods that are, indigenous to that community, and they're going to have their guidelines show that all those foods meet their needs. And so, again, I feel like a lot of the times when we're in the United States, we're so narrow minded. We think that like we are the only place
Yeah.
and we're the only way of doing things, like the gold standard. But that is such a like colonized, there's no other word, but it's just like that's just the only way to say it. Like it's just a colonized way of seeing things, because so like all our cultures are so diverse and there's so many different foods, like foods from our countries, and they all feed us and they all have those macronutrients and they all have those micronutrients. It's just that we're not taught that, right?
Right.
Because we're taught the nutritional guidelines of the United States. And so it does take a lot of work as an individual, as a dietitian, to move away from that and re-educate yourself and learn new things so that you can serve the community that you're working with. Some people do it, some people don't. That's really just the way that it is. But we need to understand that like nutrition is not a monolith. Like it's very nuanced. It's a very
Mhm.
young science per se. Um, and we need to understand things lightly. Like you don't have to be an expert to know what a protein is, to know what a carb is, to know,
Right.
what a fat is. And it doesn't have to be so hard, which is what I was trying to make with the book. Like, that's what I want to educate on. Like it doesn't have to be that hard. You don't need to know every little thing like I do. And even I don't know everything, but you definitely can make it a lot easier on yourself than like what these TikTokers are telling you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so necessary because I'm sorry, man,
No,
I
it's
cut you off.
okay. Go ahead.
It's so super necessary because like your primary care physician typically only took one class, right?
Hmm.
On did I make that up? I'm pretty
No,
sure
it's
I
only
heard
one class. Yeah.
a TikToker told me that, so I'm like, no, but yeah, I heard that's absolutely true. That is just not part of the curriculum,
No. No,
and
and
certainly
that's
not.
why, yeah, and that's why registered dietitians should be the medical provider that you are referred to. But again, in our medical system, in this country, we can't always, not everybody has coverage, not everybody has insurance. And honestly, there's not that many dietitians. I mean, last I saw the data, there's like less than 100,000 dietitians in the
Wow.
US. So becoming a TikTok influencer is probably a lot easier and a lot more lucrative because we do not get paid. You
Right.
know, um, we're not as high in the, pay grade as like nurses and doctors. We're like low of the totem pole. So it doesn't, and it's so hard to become a dietitian. So like, it's not like people are like dying to be a dietitian and going to school to be a dietitian. You really got to be in it.
Right.
And want to do all the schooling
Yeah.
to then have all the debt. So
Yeah.
we're not the shills getting paid. Everybody's like, you guys get paid. I'm like, who? But who? Who's paying my student loans? I wish.
Where's my money?
If somebody wants to pay my student loans, I'm here. Please come help me.
Melanie, children.
Yeah, so you brought up an interesting point. You discussed like the colonization aspect, and that's actually something that I've been super passionate about. I way back in the day, 20 something years ago, I did a lot of diabetes intervention work when I was starting to get like a bunch of my social work hours in. And one thing that I always tried to like impress on and figure out were how our foods became demonized once we
Mm-hmm.
crossed the border, because I'm in San Antonio, predominantly Mexican American population. And so I grew up hearing like all of those things about tortillas and everything like that. And when I would go back to my family home in Mexico, I would like flour tortillas were not a thing in our part of Mexico. So like it just wasn't a thing in growing up. But that all goes to show like how we transitioned into viewing nutrition negatively. But you really try to push, and I actually don't have the physical book with me right now because my mom literally she saw it on my counter and she's like, mine. And I was like, okay, fine. So yeah, which is fine, whatever. I'm always so that I usually just leave books that I've read all over because I do want people to get access to this information. So how can then we change the way that we view nutrition to be more positive? Like
Yeah.
since we've been dealing with all this stuff for generations now.
Yeah. So I think part of it is the assimilation of like, and, again, I talk about this in the book, but it's like you're coming to this country, it's a land of opportunity, the American dream. They must know what they're talking about. So like now I have to change the way I look, the way that I eat, the way that I act, the way that I speak in order to be able to like fit this like land of the great. And unfortunately that's like caked into our schooling too. So like no matter where you go, if you go to a doctor, if you go to WIC, like even, if you are on services and you're getting, SNAP, if you're getting WIC, because you were working, as a social worker, when I was working in the community, we always had to follow the grant curriculum. We always had to follow the education that they were giving us. And that's why I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I gotta start my own private practice because I can't be you know confined to this information, even though I would try to like educate. I had to follow these rules and I hate following rules. And
Same,
so
same.
it's not for me. I follow my own
Yes.
rules. And so it's really hard. So I think the best way that we can think about it is like, if instead of always viewing everything as negative, there is not one food, there is not one ingredient, there is not one thing that's going to make or break you, kill you, give you diabetes, give you heart disease. Like nothing is in like a vacuum, right? Like it is a lot of things that come together to cause a lot of things. If we can start seeing food from like a positive perspective, things change so drastically. Like how can I
Mhm.
add to this? Like how can I make this complete? Like okay, I have this in front of me, like how can I make it a complete meal, right? Like a complete meal is carbs, protein, fats, and fiber. How can I create a plate from that? Like what can I add that's going to add texture, flavor, heat, or cold to it? Like how am I going to make this enjoyable to eat? And if you're able to see it that way, like everything opens up, because I think like food for all cultures is very much that. It's a love language. It's very
Hmm.
much this like, I want it to taste good. I want you to feel good. And then we get here and it's like, no, food is just fuel. Food is like all separate. Food is supposed to look good but taste nasty. And it's like, no, that's not, that's not how it's
Summer
supposed to
dance.
be.
Yeah. Something I love about the book, though, is how you kind of walk us through how we got to where we are. Like you give us the
Hmm.
history of all this stuff. And again, every single time I was like, what? No way. Like, you know, I think you started at the very beginning that starvation study. I was like
Hmm.
shocked at that starvation study because I think so many of us think, oh, if I don't eat and I work out a
Hmm.
ton and
Hmm.
and you don't think about the all of the effects that you have. And I love all the chula stories that you have kind of integrated through like the entire book. And the chula story that I felt the most because my dad came here. He's here now, visiting me. And he said he went to a doctor and he's like, bueno, señor, usted ya tiene 70 años. You've made it this far. I have nothing to give to you to improve your life. You're lucky to be this old. Basically, like, and my dad was trying to like lose weight. He's like, I'm trying to live longer so I could see my granddaughter get married. Like, he's trying to figure out ways to be healthier. Um, and you have a story there where, the doctors now, like they either have that kind of mentality, like, hey, you're lucky to be this old, or they only look at one number.
Hmm.
You bring up BMI. Um,
Yeah.
in one of your chula stories. So, and you really go into a lot of detail there. So I'm not going to ruin the book. So everybody could go out there. Um, but what do you think is a better measure? Because so many of us get stuck with that number on the scale, or we get stuck with, this little thing or that little thing over there. Um, I know what I focus on now that I'm older. I'm like, yeah, take all that blood, do whatever you need to do, like run all those
Yeah.
numbers. But I did that for myself so I could have a baseline. So, I say, okay, well, it's there now. I just want to make sure that I'm consistent there. My dad's had cholesterol his entire life. Like since he was in
Hmm.
his 20s, they found it out. And now he's like, he manages with his diet. So
Hmm.
what is your, what is your recommendation or what are your thoughts on like the numbers that we get stuck on, like the BMI?
Yeah, well, the BMI sucks, obviously.
Yeah,
It wasn't created for health in any way, shape, or form.
Say it
It's
for
just, yeah.
everyone.
And
yeah.
it's just, I mean, there's no way to say it. Like, it wasn't meant for a health measure. And also, I think it's important to understand that, like, weight is not a behavior. Like,
Right.
you can't wake up tomorrow and change your weight. You can wake up tomorrow and change your hydration habits. You can wake up tomorrow and change, how you exercise. You can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to try to sleep 8 hours tomorrow, right? Like, you can change that. That is a behavior that you can modify and change. You cannot do that with weight. You can't wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm going to be XYZ. So it's important to understand that like weight is not a behavior. And if we're able to see that, then we're able to focus on the things that are in our control, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how much are we sleeping? Are we hydrating? Are we eating enough? Are we exercising? How is my stress? Like, people don't realize how much stress can impact our health and our body. And not only that, like, I think, we all love the Peloton, obviously, that's why we're here, but like, doing hit workouts and like constantly working out at these like high levels is not beneficial for our health either. So like, how are we going to rest? How
Yeah.
are we going to have recovery days? Like, all of that matters because all of that affects your health while your weight does not. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Although everybody wants to put an emphasis on that number on the scale, that does not in any way, shape, or form dictate anything about your health except your gravitational pull on this earth. And it is very much genetic. It is very much a symptom, I would say, of everything that's going on, but it is not a behavior and it is not a determinant of health. And that's so important for us to understand. And when we start focusing on the things that we can modify and that we can, I don't want to say control because control also feels like very rigid, because certain things you can't control. Like, I also have high cholesterol, like your dad. I've had high cholesterol since I was 10, right?
Right.
Like, I've known that I have high cholesterol since then. And all I can do is with my exercise and then with my food is keep that number at bay. Like, I know at one point in my life, I'm going to need medication. I'm not there yet, but like,
Right.
I'm also not afraid to take medication.
Right.
So it's like, we need to start doing what's in our like grasp and modify those things to help us feel better and be able to live better. Because a lot of those things are really what matters to health, not the number on the scale.
And I think that's something very important on everything that you do here. You help us understand how the foods that we eat are healthy for us, and how the preparation of the foods. Those are also very important. So for me, that I was like, oh, swoon. I'm loving all of that. Giving that old school, heart. I
The
know
old
they've
school
changed
heart.
them out to be on.
I can't do that thing. I can't do
Can't do
it.
it.
This is this.
I have arthritis. I can't do
What is
it.
this?
Like
I
my
can't
arthritis
even do
won't.
it. How do you do it? I don't know how to do it. My fingers
You
can't
know,
bend that way.
I only laughed when you said like the other metrics because literally yesterday I was in I have physical therapy. So I have RA. So I've been in like chronic pain since I was like for 22 years now. And so my my physical therapist was like trying to adjust my shoulders because I have a lot of inflammation right now. Like Victor said, I'm in law school and I'm a mom and I'm a business owner. So I'm busy. And so I was laying down on the bed and apparently your shoulders aren't supposed to be like rotated
Off.
in. And he was like, "What's wrong?" He was like literally like pushing down on me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it's just so I only laughed because he was like, "You are under so much stress. What is wrong with you?" And then I laughed again when you mentioned water because I was like, "Damn, I haven't drank water at all today." And it's. I know. Trust me, I know. I'm gonna go. Even my mom. So my mom was in here earlier, and she was like, "Do you want anything?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And I should have said yes. I
Yeah, you
know,
need
I know.
water.
As soon as this is done, I'm gonna go. But so I know. And so that actually, obviously, I mean, my nutrition ebbs and flows just because I have very severe ADHD as well. And I have all these like nutritional things that I have to avoid because my body hates me sometimes whenever I eat them. And so instead of like restricting our diets, how can we focus though on feeling good about like what we're eating and while we're not restricting our diets? Like I have like a very like my list just gluten. Like it's like whenever I
Yeah.
have gluten I can't
Yeah,
consume.
you can't.
So no, and so or I will be like my shoulders I will look like I'm wearing like pads, like football pads. So that is like that's seriously something though that I'm always trying to find something that's quick, easy, but still makes me feel good about like what I'm eating, what I decide to eat that's not quick and you know, being able to like sit down with it. And I've done
Hmm.
the whole intuitive eating workbooks and all of those fun things. And so just remembering that like we are so busy, how can we just feel good about what we eat?
I always say take it one meal at a time and like one day at a
Okay.
time. And this idea that like we have to be perfect every day, again, it's rooted in a lot of perfectionism and a lot of that supremacy idea. We really need to understand that like we are humans, like we're not robots, and like every day your hunger is going to be different, and every day your needs are going to be different. And some days you're really busy. So I think it's important, like one of the things about intuitive eating, again, it's like eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, but like sometimes you can't eat when you're hungry. Sometimes you are going to eat past fullness, right? And that's normal, that's natural, that's part of life. So like being practical about it is also very important, like not micromanaging but practical. Like you shouldn't go more than 3 to 5 hours without eating a meal, right? Like a snack is 1 to 2 hours, right? Like also understanding like a meal is supposed to carry you over until
Yeah.
the next time you're supposed to eat, right? Like most people out here are living on air. Like I can't live like that. Like my guts are always grumbling. Like I gotta eat. Like I don't have time for like this whole like restriction thing. But yeah, like a meal carries you 3 to 5 hours. A snack carries you 1 to 2 hours. If you know that you have a meeting from 12 to 3 o'clock and you're not gonna eat until 3 p.m., you should be eating before that meal. I don't before that meeting. I don't care if you're not hungry. You have to eat something or bring something with you that you can drink during. I mean, we live in a world where we have so much access to so
So
many
much.
things. Like, you don't necessarily have to be chomping on like a salad. You can have a smoothie. You can have, a protein shake. You can, have some nuts where, you're not making so much noise. Like, you can have a protein bar. Like, there's so many things that you can do. You don't have to be out here hungry. And sometimes that takes planning, right? And
It
being
does.
conscious anxious about it. And somebody with ADHD probably needs a little bit more structure and a little bit more reminders and having more things around the house that are easy to like take. And honestly, we now also like literally, I became a dietitian 13 years ago. There were not a lot of gluten-free options that tasted good. Like I
No,
would gag, because we had to try it on. I'd be like, this is so nasty. But like now we have so much
it's
available.
fun. Yeah.
And you can have things around that are going to be there for you. I'm at my desk. I literally have a thing of nuts. Well, I work at my kitchen, so like my whole pantry's here. But like I always have snacks. I literally travel with a bag that says snacks on it because I get hangry. Like I am the definition of like hangry. If my blood sugars drop, I'm done. Like don't talk to me. I'm gonna curse you out. Like I need food. I need sugar. Like I don't allow myself to get to that point because I'm not nice. So being practical about it is super important. And that's what's important about understanding your body too. Like I understand my body. I know I can't get to that point because I'm very mean. So knowing these things about yourself, connecting with your body is important.
Hmm.
So being practical, planning ahead as much as you can, and understanding that again, if you take it one meal one day at a time, it gets so much easier because every time you can ask yourself like, what's going to taste good? What can I add? What is going to make me feel good? Okay, I can maybe have a snack now because I only have a meeting, so I might not be too hungry now, but like I can have like an actual meal in an hour or two. Thinking like that is very beneficial instead of always just saying, oh my god, no, I only have like this amount of calories left. Oh no, oh my god, I had to count all these points. Like that is
Ugh.
so negative, as opposed to like if we can think more in the like positive realm, it just becomes so much easier because you're more excited about what to eat. You're
Right.
more excited because food is supposed to taste good. It's supposed to hit the spot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So I'm gonna go buy myself a fridge for my office because I
Yes.
don't want to walk like
Yeah,
all the
why
way.
wouldn't you have that already?
I We just moved offices. I know, I know. And like I said, like my husband, so my I work with my husband because like literally he's the only reason why I eat. I would be like because I don't like to cook. I don't like doing anything.
That's
I
not
know
good
they
for
all
your
laugh like
inflammation either.
yeah, yeah, no. I actually just don't like cooking. Like he'll
Me
cook
either.
for
I
me
hate
though, so
cooking.
it's great.
Yeah,
It's
I hate cooking.
disgusting.
That's why I have so much processed foods all around me at all times.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go get a bin and I'm just gonna like leave it there. That way nobody takes my snacks. That's my issue is that my
Yeah.
employees take my snacks.
Oh no, do not touch.
Don't touch.
We need signs.
I'm like you though.
Yeah.
I work out of my kitchen, so my pantry is
Yeah,
there, and
it's
it's
right
like
here.
all the stuff. I love though that you do say in the book, what was once bad is now good, and how like
Yeah.
things kind of like revisit themselves again. And I think I saw on TikTok somewhere like, oh, estás comiendo avocado toast. We've been having that since we were little kids because that's all
For
you had,
reals.
like un pan con aguacate, échale
Y
poquita sal,
tocate,
and you're done. Like, and the aguas frescas too. Like that's
yeah.
I'm from El Paso, so it's like
But now they
99%.
charge $15 for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
but for me, that's one of the reasons that I love going back because it is standard, like available anywhere. Um, but I think that then I left, and for me that was a huge shock because a lot of the ingredients, a lot of the food that it was readily accessible to me because I could literally go and get all the ingredients that I needed to, were there. And then I moved to Arizona, teeny tiny little town that didn't have a lot of Mexican ingredients. Then I moved to Georgia, not a lot of Mexican ingredients. Then
Mhm.
I went outside of the country. Again, I wasn't able to find. So then I'm like, okay, and you're kind of going back to what you see. Oh well, this is healthy and that's healthy and that, so you're kind of like at a loss and at the mercy of what people are saying, this is good and this is bad. So I think for me, I had to get to the point where there is no good and there is no bad. It's kind
Mhm.
of like just adjusting, to whatever is available to you at the moment. I think you also talked about white rice, um
Yeah.
the brown rice and the white rice, and I'll like to read all about that. But how do we get over our stigma that food can be bad or that any food is bad? Because I think, I mean, you talk about it very, very well in the book, but how can we get over that, like in our brain that, oh, I can't get that or I can't have that because it's bad food?
Questioning it. Like, why? Like, where did you learn that? Like, where did you hear that? From who? And starting to question the reasonings behind it. Um, and more than likely, I mean, I hate to say Google is free because not everybody. Sometimes Google is free, but people's critical thinking skills are not quite there to understand what's being said to you. But for the most part, you can like look it up and you can see, if you can find like a good source that's not the AI thing at the top.
Yeah.
If you can get like a good source, you'll see if you can get like a nuanced, very like straightforward answer, you'll be able to make the choice for yourself. If it's coming from like, some clickbaity, I want to sell you my supplement kind of thing,
Hmm.
I would probably be like, maybe not.
Yeah. So interesting, cute little story here. I'm in Baltimore. And I've been here for about 12 years. I made a couple of very good friends at the gym, by the way. Um, and both of them have celiac disease, like really, really
Mm,
bad celiac disease. And so it's really hard. And especially back, 5, 10 years ago, like you didn't have
yeah,
the gluten-free options the way you do
yeah,
now. So they like to come to my house because I would make
yeah.
Mexican food. And I'm like,
And it's
dudes,
very
just
gluten free.
convert to Mexican. Like
Yeah.
you could have all the corn you want, all the chicken, el
Oh, the
arrocito, los
rice.
frijoles. I'm like, and that's what like really had me change. Like, oh shit, like our food isn't bad food. Like
Mm-mm.
you're making the salsa from scratch. That's tortillas. I could go to like the tortilleria down the street and get them fresh, and
Mhm.
know that they don't have a lot of these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, again, mind blown moment where I finally got to see, because you hear forever, oh no, that food is fried and that food is this and Mexican food is bad for you. Well, it's bad
Mhm.
for you when you're having the 15 margaritas
Yeah.
along with your meal. And but the food in itself is good,
It's
healthy
good.
food for you that could
Yeah.
check the block in everything. And
Mhm.
it's not like you said until you look at your plate and you're like, hey, this is all of the stuff on here, it balances each other out. I have this little
Mhm.
thing here, this little protein, this little thing over here, and all of it is a good meal, and it's what my
Mhm.
body needs versus a
Mhm.
stupid shake that I hate anyway because I don't drink
I
fast,
know.
and they separate, and I mean I'm still like all the way to the top on my water because I got my cup, but I don't drink it. Um, but again, it's that relationship that we establish with, and you have a beautiful story about the quinceañera, towards the
Hmm.
end, and how we create like stigmas with food and weight, like sometimes at a very, very young age. And um, I think it's a beautiful book. And I think,
Hmm.
it goes into much more than just the nutrition. But I mean, you go into machismo I mean, just the whole thing and but everything, how
It's
all of that
connected. Yeah.
absolutely. And you don't see it, like I didn't see it, obviously, because this is not my realm of expertise. But when you see it the way you wrote it up, it is a beautiful, beautiful book. And I like for me, and I'm very happy that my parents are here now because now that it's on audiobook, I'm like, mire papi, like listen to this. And he's like, okay, okay. Because again, I don't think whether I'm in my 40s, they're in their 70s, no matter what age you are, you're never too old to learn,
Mm-mm.
you know,
Yeah.
about, just our food and that it's okay to eat the food that we eat. So I want to thank you
Yeah.
for that. That's
Well,
great.
thank you.
I
I'm
gotta
even gonna
jump in on that
oh,
point, Annalisa, because because it's really important to me. In from the perspective that my sister is 4 years younger than I am, and with all love and good intentions, I know for a fact that as we were growing up in the house, the messages that I was getting about food were very different from the
mhm.
messages that she was getting and the pressure or influence that she felt. And now, as the father of a teenage Latina who is very much Latina, surrounded by people that aren't Latina, and it's what I'm trying to wrap my head around is, okay, how do I help push the healthy message without it being a negative message? And it's just like it's hard, It's like, and it's just so weird because like if I go to my mom's house, as soon as I walk in the door, she'll tell me, hijito, estás muy gordito, tienes que
Mhm.
bajar.
Mhm.
But then she'll give me, when I finish a milanesa, she'll give me two. And if I don't,
Yeah.
she'll be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Like,
Yeah. It's a lot. I think you have to start at a young age, like helping them understand their body and their relationship to it. I think, not pressuring about the eating, allowing them to like have preferences too. Like I think a lot of the times it's like you eat what I give you and that's it. And we don't like, it's like we don't, and again, it comes from that space of scarcity for a lot of people of like, this
Mm-hmm.
is the only food we had. So like you had to eat it. But like,
You
again,
better eat it.
if you have the ability to like teach them and like show them different cultures and different foods and have them try things, like that's all that we can do as a parent, right? Like I said at the beginning, like my job isn't to dictate as a dietitian. As a mother, it's also not my job to dictate what my kids eat. Like my job is to
Hmm.
give them choices and to feed them, and I know their preferences, right? So I know what they like. So if I'm going to introduce something new, I'm always going to have food that they like on there, and then I'm going to add something different so that they always at least have something to eat, but they're trying something new. And also knowing that they're not going to like everything, right? Like that's at
Hmm.
like a very young age, like understanding that they're not going to love every food. You don't love every food. They're not going to love every food. And also, it's going to take a lot of showing them that food for them to even want to try it. But again, we didn't have that choice growing up. We didn't have the ability to make choices in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So, this idea about giving choices to children is very different. And my mom is always like, ah, tú deja que yo haga lo que yo quiera. Nah, 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 and like this idea of like them not being controlled. It always goes back to that control piece.
Yeah.
And as I get older, is really like having those conversations with them. I mean, she's a teenager. You could have these conversations with her, like, or her mom, or like if she doesn't feel comfortable talking to you, but like, understanding that all bodies are different. That we're all going to grow at different rates, that we still need to eat. We still need to give our body food. And that's tougher as they get older because there's so many other influences. And unfortunately, social media is just a lot, but there's a lot
Huge.
of books. I know there's a lot of books, and I think the best thing that we can do as parents is just have that open communication that you're not going to shame them. You just want to hear what they're saying, and you're going to help them as best
Mm-hmm.
as you can, but we also can't like keep them from all that's out here. I think
Absolutely.
I think it's just like having the door open for them to talk to us is like the best thing that we can do.
For so
You
many
know,
reasons.
There's
I
so
always
many
like to
reasons, yeah.
say that we're trying to raise little people to not be jerks as bigger
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
And because tomorrow I will have a teenager, my first teenager. So my Miha's birthday is tomorrow, and already like these kids have so much access to
Mm-hmm.
so much. Like I was actually talking to somebody earlier that there's no longer that cool down period. If like, stuff went down at school, there's no longer a cool down period like where they can
Yeah.
separate because everything is literally still there.
Yeah.
So, but that also goes with like having those conversations is very difficult with young impressionable girls because
Mm-hmm.
I remember last summer, my daughter, like, we were in Germany and she's like, I can't have that. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, why? And so, and like, she was concerned, like, she was doing Pilates and all this stuff. I'm like, baby girl, Pilates is fine, whatever. But like, what is your intention? So I
Yeah.
love
What is your
that.
intention?
And I will stop blabbering because I am a professional blabber for a living. One thing that really still just always like resonated with me though is, and if anything, guys, go listen to her forward or go read the forward for the book because you are so, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you are so lucky to have had such a great, strong female role model in your abuela because so many of us don't. And or we didn't. And so thinking of that, like I wanted that to be my impression of
Mm-hmm.
abuela because that was not it for me. And so, and I want to just thank you because you're really trying to start a revolution with us in like our vieja, mid. I'm not a vieja though. I'm sorry. Like, I don't
I'm
care.
in my senora
But
era. That's fine.
yeah, I'm in my senora era, but like, I can still throw it down sometimes. But like, those of us that are over 37 and we have children, like you were a breath of fresh air. The book was amazing. Trying to get it to my mother. I'm not going to say her age because she'll hurt me. Um, but, and just like raising my daughter, not overtly, like you said, but just leading by example. So I want
Mm-hmm.
to thank you for you shared your gift and you did something that so many of us dream of doing, of writing a book, getting your message out and like, but you did it so authentically. So I just want to thank you for that. And I cannot wait to like just keep watching your trajectory rise.
Thank you.
And hopefully we raise, a new set of kids
Yeah.
that will look at their plate differently.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I think we can only do what we can with what we have and with the knowledge that we have. And like, I think
Mm,
two truths can be true, right? Like, our parents
Hmm.
did the best that they could with what they knew and the information that was handed to them. And
available.
now we can do better with the information we have, right? Like,
Hmm.
that's all that we can do. Like, parenting is hard. I have a almost 11-year-old, so I'm almost in the teenage years. I'm gonna be 37 this year, so it's I get it. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
um and and it's a lot because there's so much information coming from all shapes, media forms. And so, like, yeah, all we can do is be able to have those conversations with them, and like, you know show them how to have a good relationship with food, because that's the only reason why I was able to have a good relationship with food. Like, I was fortunate enough that my body was not a problem to anybody in my family, so I was
Right.
able to just like live my life. But I can't say that for everybody else in my family,
Hmm.
right? Because everybody grew up with different circumstances. But again, like, we can learn and we can unlearn and we can teach new things to our kids. And that's pretty much the best that we can do.
Well,
Just be there for them.
I'll tell you that what I learned because my baby, she's now 19, is that and I learned this a while back that it's like, ay gorda, ay flaca,
Yeah.
ay esto, ay lo otro. Like my first thing for her was never, oh, you're so pretty or you're so
Mm-hmm.
small or you're so thin. Like I never associated my
The
love for
words.
her
Yeah.
with a size, with a
Mm-hmm.
shape, with her hair, with anything. And I'm just like, you're the smartest girl this side of the
Yeah.
Mississippi. How am I the luckiest girl ever? Like, you
Yeah.
have to just, we have to change the narrative. Because, you
Mm-hmm.
walk in I still walk in the house. Oh, you flaca. I'm like, I'm not a flaca anymore. But like
Yeah.
those things, and you go into that in the book too. It's like
Yeah.
we really you're absolutely right. We know better now. We have more information. So we just need to, change that for them moving forward. So thanks again.
And
It
yeah, we
is.
really have to. It's like almost kind of not to be dark about it, but like I don't. You'll remember the conversation we had a few months ago, but like the number one subgroup in the United States that is prone to suicide are Latinas under the age of 22, I believe.
Hmm.
That's the
I
large.
didn't
That's
know
the
that.
most risk. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Oh,
it's like
wow.
what you're doing, doing this education. I mean, it's beyond just feeling happy about how you have food. It's like this is very much tied to
It's
mental
mental
health,
health.
and
Yeah,
it
it
Yeah.
is.
could be saving lives if
Absolutely.
we take this different approach to and
I
giving
just
that
got
to
chills.
our daughters.
I just
Yeah.
got chills.
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing. I actually did not know that stat, but
Yeah,
no, like,
I'll send you over some studies on that.
the way that you eat, very much affects your mental health. I mean, like, we produce
100.
so many of the hormones in our gut, and we're only even just now learning the gut brain connection. But me and my friends joke around, and it's probably not the funniest joke, but it's like, people people in diet culture, like, their guts are not as good as ours. They're not even pooping. I mean, I just posted about the lady that's out here flaunting she hasn't had a freaking gram of fiber in 6 years, and I'm like, my girl, that's not that great. Like, your
Right.
gut is suffering. It's suffering. And I know that it's for clicks. Like, there's no way that that's true. It's They make money off of this. The more views, and they're probably in, like, making hundreds of dollars off of just one video. So that they thrive on that. But it's so unfortunate that that's the world that we live in, where things like that get blown out of proportion and people believe it. Like, people are so
Hmm.
gullible and they believe it. But yeah, like, our gut flora needs to be at its best, for like
Right.
our brain health to be at its best. And yeah, there's so much misinformation, and everybody wants to
Hmm.
sell you a detox of the gut. Like,
Oh
you don't
yeah.
need to detox your gut. You need the bacteria in there. Trust me.
Right.
Hmm.
If you had bad bacteria in there, you would know. It would be coming out of you, actually. So
That's
trust me,
right.
you don't need to detox. You wouldn't be able to get off the toilet if you had if you had a lot of bad bacteria in there. So yeah, no, it's unfortunate, but Yeah, it's all connected.
Oh, Dalina, just to echo what Melanie and Annalisa have said, but thank you so much for the work you're
Mhm.
doing. Thank you this for this book, and just at the same time, honestly, like as a community, so proud of you. And we've
Thank you.
only just met, and congratulations on this amazing feat. Everyone, please pick up the book.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
And
and it's going to be available in Spanish July 1st.
Shut
So,
up!
yes.
we're
So
gonna have to
you
do this
can
whole time.
pre-order it now because pre-orders help authors the most.
You
Really?
got
So
it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you can pre-order it now. I don't know if it's going to be an audio. I won't know that until probably June-ish. Um, but another thing is like if you have like Spotify Premium or if you have like um I think Apple Music Premium or whatever it is, like if you can listen to audiobooks on the premium version, as long as you listen to 10% of the book or more, like I get paid like you bought it
Ooh.
Let's
for
go.
royalties. So do it up. Go
Oh,
on
I listened to the
Spotify.
whole thing. You're
Go,
You
yeah.
got
ka-ching off
it.
of me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we get
that's
the
awesome.
royalties off of it. Not the royalties, but we get like it as long as it's 10%.
Do a chart workout this weekend and just listen
Yeah,
to her
yeah.
name.
If you have Spotify,
Yes.
listen to it. And you get what? I think you get 10 hours and the book is only
Yeah.
7 hours long.
No.
So you only need one credit.
Going now.
Yes,
Watch.
yes,
Oh my
one credit.
gosh.
And it took me 8 days to record it. So be nice to me.
Oh, it's great though. It's really, really good. I
It took
thoroughly
so
enjoyed it.
long.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Lalina, thank you so much.
Thank you
And
Thank
so
you.
much.
you're welcome back anytime to talk to you
Oh,
anymore.
well, yes, absolutely. I'll
I'm
come
ready
back
for the
anywhere.
next one. Part
I'm
2.
not
Let's
writing another
go.
book. Anna, no. Anna, don't do this to me. I literally just
Oh,
finished.
I just like I said, I'm not having another baby. Y luego ahí vienen otros dos.
No,
I'm like,
no. No babies, no more books for me.
there you go. Maybe.
No bees. No
No
bees.
bees. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
Adios,
too.
chicos.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.